Maybe come finish writing over there.
Okay. You want to know something funny? I'll tell you when we go live.
It might be live.
It might be live. Hi. You want to know something funny?
Hang on. It's not quite live, but save it for when we know we're live.
Save it for when we know we're live. Oh, my butt hurts.
Okay. I hope we're not live.
I did butt day at the gym yesterday as part of leg day. Also, I sat writing for 5 hours yesterday and then went to the gym. Okay.
Okay. Now we're going live on TikTok and everywhere else.
Hey, girl. What's up?
Okay.
Hey, Google, stop. I have to go turn off the Google.
Hey, Google. Stop.
Oh, now it's listening. It listens to you very well. Are we live?
Almost. Give me a second. TikTok and a couple others are.
Hey,
Instagram
TikTok.
is still loading, and
That's not a
there
very good
we
picture.
go. Now we are live.
How are you? Okay, so I was just telling Richard about I was getting ready for recording today, and I was looking in my jewelry closet for some jewelry to wear, and I was like, let me grab this ring. It's really cute. And I went to put it on, and I can't fit it over my fingers, and which is weird because I don't have big fingers. My wedding ring is a size 5.5, 6, and that's in the summertime when it's warm outside. So I'm wearing it on my toes.
Okay.
It works.
All right.
I hardly ever wear toe rings. But have you found that your toes are surprisingly bigger than you thought? Maybe it's just me, but we're so far away from our toes visually that we think of them as these skinny little things, and they're not. They're the same size as your fingers. Which is weird.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on the last page of this resource guide. This is going to be so cool. Everyone, by the way, that has booked a call with me or my team is now getting this resource guide, which is really cool. This is the ultimate guide on how to get the most out of the podcast database. Because here's the thing. You can appear on podcasts all day long. There's 400 podcasts on that list that need people. So you can apply and get featured on these podcasts. But here's what's going to happen. You apply, you get featured. That's cool. That's fun. And then you get on 2 or 3 podcasts and nothing happens because you don't have a CTA. You don't have a call to action. You don't have any way to be gathering your email list. I was listening to a podcast, in fact, yesterday, and both of the hosts were talking about how they wish that they had started their email database years ago because those are all missed opportunities. Thank you. Can anyone hear me? They can hear me through there, right?
I can hear you through this.
Okay, good. So it'd be really funny because I was just muted the whole time. So here's the thing. If you're just starting in business, you've got to have an email database. If you need to just put it on an Excel spreadsheet to start, that's fine. You're very, very quickly going to learn that you are going to outgrow that and need to put it in a CRM. If you want to know what CRM we use Go High Level, and we love it. And Richard has some really cool stuff built out on ours. What? What? What's so funny?
So I tried this thing with the Instagram where I named
With the Instagram?
I named the Instagram live "Summoned You to Her Live."
Yeah, no, I used that
And
before.
Alton says, "You summoned me to make me feel existential dread about my toe size."
I did.
Oh
My
man.
toes. Yes. As I was saying, on to the important stuff.
And then Heavenly.
What'd she say?
Let's see. Heavenly says hello.
About my toe size.
Google is like another child. Heavenly Divine says, as long as it works. No, I have fat toes. I didn't know how funny she is.
What was I saying? Oh yeah,
Shout
email
out to
database.
Heavenly.
Love you, Heavenly. Thank you. Guys, I love your comments. As we're going through this live, I'm going to be very instructional. But if there's a gold nugget that you hear or something that's funny, let me know and drop it in the comments because I love hearing from you. And I always go back and respond to all of the comments that I can find. So Sometimes with the live videos, it doesn't save the comments until, depending on the platform, but if you comment later or I can find it, 100% I'm going to respond to you. Email database. So if you're going to get on a bunch of podcasts, you're going to be burning out real fast unless you have a tripwire that goes into an email list. Here's what that language means for those of you that are brand new to this. You got to have something free to give away, whether it's a database like my podcast database or whether it's an ebook. I'm on ebook number 16. They're really fast to write. I've written 16 this year. Or a one-page sheet, or even just a one-on-one phone call with you, something to give away to where you can create a landing page. And they're really easy. You can do it on Google Forms in 5 minutes. If you don't have a CRM, if you do, you can build it there. But you gather their name, their email, and their, hey, yeah, and their phone number, and you give your stuff away in exchange for their information. Come here. I can't reach you. I can't reach you. Come here. Oh, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Look at all this stuff. What's that? That's a microphone. And what's that? That's a light. Oh, we have a new star of the show. Okay, what do you think? What do you think? Can you give us your opinion? How do you feel about apple juice versus milk in your bottle? Do you have a preference? How do you feel about splash pads versus pools? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, cool. How do you feel about the aquarium versus the zoo?
Wow.
I want to know your opinion.
Wow.
Here's the big question.
Wow.
Wow. Here, I have a question for you.
Lily.
Daddy or mommy? I just had to ask. Okay, you can't have the computer.
All right, buddy. Come on.
Okay, you're going to go hang out with Dad and Dad. Oh, no. He wants to be on the podcast. Okay. As most people can't understand you, though, so that's the problem we're having. Here, ready? Go see Daddy. 1, 2, 3. Whee! I know. We'll have you on the next episode, baby boy. Mwah, 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 mwah. He'll be happy in about 10 seconds. Oh, family over everything. Okay, let's do this. I gotta write the last page on this guide here. What's next? Okay, here's a debrief. Okay, number 1. Okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? After people download the podcast database and they've got this guide, and they're using this guide in the conversation with our consultants, what should be the next step? Oh, they need the entire 11-step formula. Get your... That just moved. We're not using this today, are we?
Yes,
This is
we
just...
are.
Oh, this is for real. It's not just for aesthetic.
Yes.
Okay.
When we hook up your laptop and we start using it, yes.
Okay, I'm almost done. Get your ducks in a row. Whoa!
You stupid. This stand is such garbage.
It's time to upgrade our stand. Maybe if you shift this stand further up on the rod and then scoot it closer. I don't know if it's a stand. It might be the stand. Anyway, get your ducks in a row and ask your consultant about the 11-step speaker journey and how to monetize your message. If you need to get in on the Mastery Hive to develop your presentation. Is that better?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. I'm almost done. Presentation and optimize your business. Join in today. Okay, and then the Mastery Hive link is at marianhickman.com/Mastery Hive.
Yes. I'm going to take that laptop from you. Your time's up.
I know. To fight me for it. Haha. Okay, I'm going to put this in here. Done. Done. It's done.
Okay, give me your laptop.
But I want to show it off. It's so pretty.
Tell them to go text podcast.
Oh,
and
wait.
they can get it.
I don't want the address in there.
Okay. Finish this later.
I know. It's literally the last characters. There. Okay. If you want to see the book, I literally just finished it. Much to Richard's chagrin. I literally just finished the book. The only way to get this book is to book a call with one of my consultants. And the reason for that is this book is the in-between between your database download from the podcast list and whatever your next step is. Because I don't know if you're necessarily ready for all of the contents of this book yet. I just have no idea. That's why I want to get on the phone with you or want to have one of my consultants do it. If you search in Canva and you look at start recording here, it will pull up the correct file. And you have to highlight projects instead of templates. Here we go. I think it's F. Yeah, that one. Okay, so text podcast to this number 801-509-5495. What that will do is automatically deliver the podcast database for you. This entire list of over 400 podcasts that are looking for guests, it's going to be in your pocket. That's the cool thing, is your next stage is just in your pocket right now. And the other cool thing about this podcast database is that I update it twice a week. So bookmark it, add it to your browser, and then always go back and check in there. Look for podcasts by topic, look for podcasts by owner if you know a few, and all that in the database, it has links to apply to all of these podcasts right on there. So you can use the podcast database and go right to applications and get yourself known. And then once you've done that, then I want to meet with you, or someone from my team can meet with you. And what they're going to do is show you the book I just wrote. It's got a step-by-step guide for how to get on the podcasts, and more than just applying through the database, because there's some extra tips to get seen. And more than that, also how to leverage these podcasts like we talked about a minute ago, and how to get these people, this new audience, to love you and get your stuff so they go from not your audience to your audience, and from your audience to leads that you can possibly upsell and grow your business. And then you're off to the races. We wash, rinse, and repeat. So this entire guidebook is available. So you got to get the podcast database. When you get that, I will set up a call with you, and one of my team will, and we're going to go over this with you and see where you're at in your journey, get to the next steps.
Okay, we're actually starting with talk tips.
Yeah, talk tips. Ooh, you guys get bonus stuff. We just added this to our podcast. So if you're watching our podcast on YouTube, wherever you watch podcasts, we added a sub-series called Talk Tips. The first one we published yesterday. So this is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what the title is. It's in Asana. Do you remember what the title is?
I do not,
Ooh,
but...
okay. I'll go to Asana and look. Actually, I have a whole list right here. See this? Isn't it beautiful?
Okay.
Ta-da!
Great. So we're not going to do an intro for this. It's just go right into it and intro it right as you're going, okay?
And what is the intro going to be?
The intro is that song. Yeah, not that one,
No.
but, the... Here. This
Or jingle?
No, not the jingle you made. Hang on. Stand by.
This is designed to be less than
12 minutes.
12 minutes. Okay. Oh, our intro song. Got it.
Hey, Marianne Hickman here. Now listen, you
Okay.
guys have been listening to my pod.
Okay.
So
I
just
get
go
it.
right into it.
We're not
Don't-
recording an
Not
intro.
guys. No more guys.
Thank you.
No more guys.
Every time I say guys, pluck out one of my nose hairs. Something. I don't know what that was, but I'm not down for that.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I don't know what just happened.
All right, ready?
I don't know what that gesture means. I don't want to know.
That's just raising my finger to let you know that you just did it. That's nothing more than just letting you know.
I thought it was disciplinary.
No. Oh my gosh.
You're terrible.
You're terrible.
I'm just having way more fun than ever. Everything I'm doing has leveled up in fun. Okay, so how to overcome the fear of public speaking. That's ironic because it's exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah, okay. Ready?
Yeah. Welcome to Talk Tips number 2. I almost said I've got Marianne Hickman here, which is my alternate self. We're going to start that over.
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to start over or do you want me to just keep rolling?
Just keep rolling.
Okay. Welcome to Talk Tips number 2. Marianne Hickman here. Now, today's talk tip is all about how to overcome the fear of public speaking, which is the number 1 fear in the world. Isn't that crazy? If you Google it and you look it up and all the top fears in the world, there's like number 3 is death and number 2 is spiders. Richard has that one. Number 1, though, is public speaking. And I kind of get it. It's a vulnerable place to be. You're exposed to your audience in all your glory, especially if you're on stage in a physical room, public speaking. It takes guts to just raise your hand in an audience and take the microphone and do a share. You should see it. I'm in stages, I'm in rooms all the time with hundreds of people, and I'll ask for shares. And I've taught the audience that it's okay to share and that it's safe and we acknowledge you, but still, the person that gets up and takes the microphone in their hand, they're shaking and they hold it really tight to themselves like they're smelling a bouquet of flowers, and they get nervous because it's so vulnerable, especially if you don't have a written script. People use that as a security blanket most of the time, that written script, that pre-prepared talk, that pre-prepared presentation. But it's scary. It can be scary because you're open to the perception of judgment. You're open to, what if I mess up? You're open to, what if I get misquoted or misunderstood? That used to be a really big fear of mine that I had to take down and tackle in a public room, is what if people don't understand me correctly? And honestly, I'm still working on that one privately, like when I talk to Richard. What if we don't understand each other clearly? Because listen to this. I come from a background of pilots. Seriously, I've got a student pilot license myself, and communication is so critical when you're in that cockpit, when you're communicating to your co-pilot, when you're communicating to the tower, when you're communicating with other airplanes in the air. I'll never forget the time. I was flying down in a little tiny airplane, probably a 4 or 5 seater, and I'm flying down in the cockpit from the Provo airport all the way down to the St. George airport, which is probably, a 4-hour drive, maybe, depending on traffic. It's about only an hour flight, though, in this little tiny airplane. And the crazy thing was this. I'm in this airplane. I am not instrument certified. For those of you that are pilots, you might know that there are several different levels of certification. I'm not instrument certified, and my plane isn't equipped to do what it's about to be asked to do, which is fly through a cloud bank. What's crazy on this flight down to St. George is there's this canyon that you go through, and you don't really notice it when you're driving. But when you're up in the air, it gets a little bit different in terms of climate. So I've got a mountain on this side of me, a mountain on this side of me, on my left and right, and in the middle is a cloud bank. And so I've got 3 options. I can either go over it, I can go through it, or I can go under it. It's going on a bear walk, right? But I can't actually go through it because I don't have the visibility. I don't have the instruments, and I'm not trained how to do that. So I can go over it and I can go under it. Well, I've got to figure out if these options are safe, because if I go under it, I need to know if there's other aircraft around me. Same thing if I go over it. I also need to know how low the ceiling of this cloud bank is so that I don't get too low and fly too close to the ground and put myself in danger or somebody else in danger. So I'm radioing out and I'm putting out on the broadcast channel, and it's like, is anybody around? I'm not close to any airports right now. Can someone tell me what the lower ceiling of this cloud bank is? And I put it out there. And this cool thing happens. If any of you have flown before, you get like giddy like me. I get a response from a United flight that just happens to be in the area. And he radios to me. I'm like, hey, this is so-and-so. I'm here and I'm doing this thing and this is my predicament. Do you happen to know how low this cloud bank is? And the United pilot gets back to me and he talks to me. He's like, yep, you're safe. It's at this certain number of altitude and you're good. And I hung up and I was like, oh, I just talked to a really cool pilot. That's really cool. And I got all the information I needed to fly safely into this cloud bank because we could clearly communicate. Now, the biggest fear in public speaking is the inability to do so. And in our minds, if we don't communicate clearly, we get into this primal state of mind to where if I am misunderstood, catastrophe could happen. If I am misunderstood, somebody might die. At least that's what goes through my mind. And on the other side of that's one fear. But what about this other fear of what if I have stuff in my teeth? Or what if I get shamed publicly? Or what if I just flumble and stutter over my words? I'm a public speaker for a living and I still trip over my words. Here's how to overcome all of that, because I want you to eliminate it completely. And I'm about to drop a phrase on you that is going to feel like a smack in the face at first. But hear me out. Fear, nervousness, stage fright, in other words, all of that is nothing more than magnified selfishness. Now stay with me. Here's what I mean. Think about the words that go through your head when you're about to go on stage and you have stage fright. What if my clothes look weird? What if I trip on stage? What if I say something dumb? What if I mix up my words? What if I forget my lines? What if I? You're only thinking about yourself. Those are the worst kinds of presentations when the presenter is only thinking about them. The best presenters, the most transformational presenters in the world, all have this one thing in common. They think about the audience's needs first. And when you do that, it suddenly is no longer about you. Listen, you've already gotten to the stage. You've already earned the right to take that stage. You've already gotten a certain level of expertise, and you're at the forefront of the room. The audience, whether it's 3 people or 3,000 people, they're all here to listen to you. They're all here to get better. They're all here to become better versions of themselves, and they are counting on you to do that. Now, that doesn't have to come with all this pressure. What it actually means is that they're hoping you do well and that you are showing up to serve them. And that's the whole point of this. I am not here for me. I'm never on stage for me. I'm not starting this YouTube channel for me. I'm not running ads for me. I'm not running in Instagram or none of my social platforms. They're not for me, you guys. They're for you. Every single piece of content that I produce, every time I get on stage, it's not for me, it's for you if you're watching. Now, every time you get on stage, same thing. It's not for you. It's for your audience. It's to show up and serve them. Guess what? Your products, they do the same thing. Your products are not for you. You've already mastered it. You created the darn thing. Your products are for the people that need them most. And as long as you keep that in mind, you have no need to have stage fright. Fear is eliminated and you can simply show up and serve. And here's the last thing I'll leave you with. Your audience, they are the rock stars of your presentation. They are the most important people in the room. And as long as they feel that from you, now you have a community, now you have a business, and you can get anywhere you want in this world if you help solve the problems of enough people. We'll see you next time on Top Tip. See, there it is. We'll see you next time on Talk Tips. Love you guys. Oops, I don't want to say you guys. Will you rewind that part?
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
We'll see you next time on Talk Tips. Sure love you. Thanks for listening. We'll see you later.
Perfect. That was great.
I don't love you guys. I only did it twice. I'm still learning.
Heavenly, I apologize. All of your comments just disappeared. But she said something about not being able to just speak off the cuff like you just did. And just now said, and people like to hear different perspectives.
Thank you, Heavenly. Will you post your comment for me? It scrolled back too fast. And on this platform that we're streaming on, anytime someone joins, it also just adds a blank spot to the chat. And so your comments kind of just disappear. And do we not have the ability to scroll back on this platform? I
tried doing something in it anyway.
Okay.
I think she's taken off. She just said, have a good one.
Bye, Heavenly. Okay, so speaking off the cuff, I'll just address that because that's what we got from your comment. So speaking off the cuff comes from the ability to just know and understand your content well enough. When you know, let's just say that you are, like my daughter, you crochet really well. If I asked her about crocheting, she could just go on and on and on. And that's the great thing about podcasts is if I asked her about that and she said something that I didn't understand, all I would do is just tell me about this. I didn't understand this like double crochet backstitch thing. What was that? And then she would go on and on and on again. So this is the great thing about podcasts. This is fantastic. Even before you develop a signature keynote presentation where you're the main guy or gal on stage and you've got 30 minutes or 25 minutes or an hour or however long you have where it's just monologuing, before you get there, when you appear on podcasts, this is what's really cool. Number one is you're being interviewed. So you don't have to prepare a speech or a presentation. You're just being asked questions about your craft and your expertise. And it's easy to talk about what you love and what you're passionate about. So that's the easy thing about podcasts. Number two is that once you appear on enough podcasts, you get 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or maybe even 10 under your belt, then you start to really understand, okay, I have been asked this one question 6 or 7 times. I've also been asked this other question 6 or 7 times, and I find myself regurgitating the answer over and over and over again. Whatever you find yourself answering more than twice, now that becomes content. That becomes course material. That becomes content for your book. That becomes a thing that you say over and over and over on Instagram or on TikTok or on YouTube, wherever you are. When you get asked that question more than once, it also becomes content for your signature keynote presentation, because one of the toughest things that you can do that will feel like you're treading water and busy doing something without even making any traction or making any progress is spewing out all of this information that you think is useful, but it's not actually what your audience wants. To understand what your audience wants, you have to be interviewed. You have to answer their questions. You have to solicit questions. Ask your audience, what's the most helpful thing? That's why all the time I'm saying, tell me what was helpful. And I'm not just trying to blow up my comments. It does help the algorithm. But the point is, I want to know what you have questions about so that I can answer it for you, so that I can create stuff that will actually serve, that will actually help you entrepreneurs, that will actually contribute to the value of the planet and solve problems for people, because I want to solve as many problems for you as I possibly can. So when you ask questions to me and you text me and you leave comments on my videos about how do I get on more stages, or what do I do when I get on a podcast, or I've gotten this twice in the last couple of weeks. Oh, I have 120, 140, 160 episodes of my podcast and my audience isn't growing. I'm not getting leads. I'm not getting revenue because I just keep producing and producing and producing and nothing's happening. Well, I get it. Have I ever been there? Absolutely. And it's because I didn't have a tripwire in place. And it seems simple to me now because I know this. But when I didn't know this, it was grueling. It was just producing and producing and producing. And gosh, the burnout was real. Burnout happens, by the way, 1, when you don't love what you do. And 2, when you do it over and over and over and over again and you're not getting any closer to your goal. I mean, that's obvious, right? It's, oh man. The feeling of loving what you do, even when the result hasn't happened yet. That's what precipitates. That's what creates the result. And then on top of that, taking a piece of humble pie and saying, yeah, there's something I don't know here. There's clearly something I haven't gotten. I haven't found this piece of the formula. I don't understand this. I'm still learning. I'm not going to pretend that I have it all figured out. I just don't. It wouldn't be a ripoff if I did. Like, this is enlightenment. No, I don't have it all figured out. There's still stuff I'm learning. There's still stuff I don't know. And there's still ways I'm growing. So I find mentors. I was just listening to, wasn't Tony Robbins. It was Dean Graziosi yesterday. And I learned something from him on a podcast that he did. It was awesome. I hope one day we can sync up because that guy's just an incredible soul. I'd love to have him on my show. That would be so valuable for you. I'll work on it. I also want to have, here's my dream guests, or a partial list of my dream guests. I want to have Dean Graziosi. I want to have Will Smith. I think he would be really cool to interview. I want to have Christina Kuzmic. I've been messaging her and hopefully we can be friends, so she'll come on my show. Those are just some of the few that I want to have on the show. Tell me some of your dream guests. If you had a podcast, or maybe people that you want to hear from in terms of public speaking, wouldn't it be great to have Tony Robbins on the show? How cool is that going to be when we do a show with Tony Robbins? I'm like 2 steps away. I interviewed Scott Donnell on my show. He is just, man, he's created the coolest app for families to learn finance together. It's amazing.
Okay,
So-
we're ready.
We ready? We ready?
Yeah,
Okay,
grab your-
let's do this. Oh, it's so far away today. Can I scoot it closer?
Yeah.
I'm tipping myself. There we go. That's better. Okay, and I have a hard stop today because I'm teaching at 11.
Yep.
Will you, if I don't stop at 10 till,
Okay.
will you stop me so I can get
Yeah.
ready for that? Thank you. Okay, lights, camera, hair, makeup,
Just hit start recording when you're
action.
ready.
Okay. Okay, this is... Let me just figure out what step we're on here. Step 3. There we go. And this is step 3, yes. Okay. And hair check. I posted my next YouTube video that's going out tomorrow. I did not do a hair check on, but I'm posting it anyway. I didn't really edit it at all, actually, even though I wanted to. I didn't. It was more important to get it out than it was to have it perfect. So done is better than perfect, and that's why you'll see it tomorrow. Content's really cool though. Okay, let's get started. Welcome back. We are now in step 3 of the 11-step process of creating a speaker. No, let me start that over. Welcome back. Guess what? You did it. You got through step 2. It's one of the longer segments that we have because your signature presentation, there's so much to it and it's so transformational. And because it's going to transform so many people's lives, it deserves the time and attention that we gave it. But check this out. We are in step 3. Give yourself a round of applause wherever you're at, whether you're listening at home or listening in the coffee shop. Doesn't matter because you made it. Step 3 is creating your ebook. So check this out. We're going to take a look at the progress that we've been making so far. You can see on this chart here, we've got all 11 steps. Now, this is the one that we're on. We just finished step 2, the signature presentation. I'm stoked about this step. This module is going to be significantly shorter in time, and there is a little bit of homework that goes with it because there's things that you have to do as far as action steps that we just can't do here unless you pause and do it. Even then, it's going to take some time. So not as much time as step 2. So buckle up. This is where we're going. Step 3 is creating your ebook. Now, this is easier than you might think. Look at the screen here. Start with your 12 to 18 page book. When I say create your ebook, the first thing that most people think is like, oh my gosh, where's my book? I have to write a book this fat to start. And there's 150 pages in here. And that's already been in my head for the last 5 years and it hasn't gotten out on paper. Well, guess what? It's time to put something down. And it only has to be 12 to 18 pages. In fact, it should be shorter. The shorter, the better. The attention span, like you know, is so short. So incredibly short. You want to be long enough, but I've heard this before, it's like a mini skirt. You want it to be long enough to cover everything, but short enough to pique interest. So this is what your ebook is. And you might even boil it down to a 1 page, and then later on you'll expand it into that big fat book, and then from later on you'll expand that into courses. Let me just give you, this is bonus material. I wasn't planning on sharing this with you. Your ebook is your 12 to 18 page little pamphlet. This is one of your tripwires. Now this ebook can precipitate another tripwire, which is your 1 page document. Everything that's in your ebook, you shorten it down, you put it as bullet points or a checklist on a 1 page, and you can also make that a tripwire. Now, which tripwire do you use? Well, it depends on how long your audience has been hanging out with you. If you put something in your stories that says, hey, this is the first time you've interfaced with me, download my 150 page book, that's probably not going to keep their attention very long. Chances are they won't read it unless they already have a history with you. If they're brand new, let's just say they're watching one of your reels for the first time. This is a place where people find each other for the first time quite often. Yeah, I'm not going to give away my big fat book in my reels because that's not my nurtured audience. Right? So you're going to create your 12 to 18 page ebook, your 1 page document, and then you're going to take that same content and expand it into your 150, 200 page book that then you hand out to your audience that are already nurtured by you. Maybe you're handing it out or selling it at a live event. Maybe you might use it as a brand new tripwire, but it's not going to be the big money maker for you directly. Meaning if I charge $20 for that book, I'm not going to expect that book to make me $1 million based on $20 sales one after the other. It might, but the most value I'm going to get from getting that book out to the world are the people's names, phone numbers, and emails that I'm going to get when they buy the book, and then those people enroll into my programs, right? So then we take that 150, 200 page book, and I'm going to stretch that out even more, and I'm going to record a video for each chapter of the book, and now I have my first mini course. And now I'm charging a couple $100 for that, right? So your ebook, this is why it's so critical to get it out of your brain and onto the page or digital page, because this is where your product lineup is going to start. And most importantly, this is where you're going to convert the audience into leads. So pay attention. This is brief but critical. We are building your ebook. Okay, so why an ebook? Well, like I said, this is your most powerful tool when it comes to conversions. It's a tripwire. The definition of a tripwire is the place where people trip over to go from being your audience to becoming your leads. They do this by giving you their email address, and I'll go more into that in a second. This is the tool. This is the conversion tool, okay? And it can be used physically or digitally, whether you have a digital audience or a physical audience. Most of us have a larger digital audience to start than we do a physical audience. There are other kinds of tripwires. Again, I'm going to cover those in a minute. But this, again, it's the perfect place to start. So let's explain what this is and how it works. So imagine here, you've got your audience at the top of your funnel. These are a compilation of people that are brand new to you. This is just eyeballs, in other words. Whenever you hear me use the term eyeballs, this is what I'm referencing. Your audience. These are strangers on Instagram. These are people in the physical room, if you're in the physical room. If you're getting on podcasts, and yes, you should, this could be other people's audiences as well. Now, the thing that converts the audience into the next step, which is leads, is your ebook. Once they become leads, this is the pathway to revenue, guys. Once they become leads, some of those leads will become your paid customers. And when you have paid customers, what does your business now have? Revenue. You don't have a business unless you have revenue. You just have an expensive hobby. And when you have that revenue and you repeat this cycle, now you have a successful business. It's a very simple formula. There's a lot of moving parts when you dive deep into this, but without every step in this formula, you're missing something. Okay, so it's time to finally write that book. Yes, today. This module, you should block out 90 minutes to write your book outside of this training. Every time I go into a room and I ask how many of you have been working on a book, how many of you know you have a book inside of you, how many of you, given just the dedicated time, know that you would eventually maybe finish that book, over 90% of the room raises their hands. And the reason I say that you have a book inside of you is because you have a level of expertise, whether that expertise is in swimming or whether that expertise is in crocheting or whether it's nannying. You have a certain level of expertise in something. In fact, I just worked with one of my students recently who has an expertise in being a young single Christian. And she's writing content about how to be a young single Christian in her demographic. So here's the problem though. Your book is in your head. It's stuck there. It needs to be put down. It needs to be written down. It needs to be going from your head into something that I can touch, even if it's just through my keyboard. Now I hear you, but that will take forever. No, that's not true. It has taken forever because you haven't done it, but it will only take 90 minutes. It won't take forever. Once you sit down and do it, and I'll show you how, it's actually quite easy. So why is this so critical? You can't go on stage without this. You will burn out. I promise you. Now listen, I've had so many people, hundreds of people, download my podcast database. This database has 400 podcasts in it. that have need of guests. They need you to show up on that stage, and you're going to download it, and you're going to go apply on 10 stages a month, just like I've told you, and you're going to get yeses. You're going to win stages. You're going to get on podcasts, and then you're going to do your first one and be like, oh my gosh, that was so exciting. I can't wait to do another one. And then you get your next one, and stage number 2 comes along, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so exciting. I can't believe I got a second stage. There might be something to this. Oh, number 3, oh my gosh, this is more than luck now. I'm getting on more and more stages. This is cool. I might have something here. Then the podcast number 4 happens. Number 5 happens because you've gotten used to it. Now it's easy for you. Podcast number 6 happens. Podcast number 7 happens. And now you're starting to get some burnout because you haven't monetized your appearances. You're going to start appearing on more and more and more podcasts because you're applying to more. Now you're getting referred, and that's a cool feeling because people are endorsing you and vouching for you. But now you're saying, why am I appearing on all these podcasts? I'm not driving my audience. My follower count isn't growing up, but maybe even if it is, my revenue isn't growing. And it's because you don't have this critical step. If you want to get paid to speak, I'm talking more than just speaker fees. This system, right, I'm showing you step 3, your ebook. This is the fastest and arguably the most lucrative way to get cash. Especially, listen, there's a formula I want to give you. I haven't written this down for you, so just pay attention. There's a formula for your stage value. You can get paid a speaker fee. That's a fee that people pay you just to show up, and they're paying you for the time block in which you're speaking. And you could get paid in the beginning $500. You could get paid $5,000. You could get paid $50,000. You could get paid $500,000. The top speakers in the world, their speaker fees are in the 6 and 7 figures, right? And that's great. When you get to that point, awesome, but you're not there yet, and you still need the revenue. So how do we get paid to speak on stage if I'm not collecting a speaker fee, or maybe even better than a speaker fee? I might even be able to get paid more from this system than a speaker would who's getting a 6-figure speaker fee. This is how. When I have a tripwire, my ebook, I'm giving this resource away to my entire audience and to the other audience that I'm in front of that day, the podcast that I'm on, or someone else's stage, whether it's a physical or digital. If I know how much my average customer value is, let's just imagine, for the sake of easy numbers, that your average customer pays you $1,000 to work with you between the cost of your digital courses or the cost of one-on-one, okay? If you know that each customer is worth $1,000 of revenue to the bottom line of your business, and then you know the next step, which is how many of those leads you close. Let's just imagine that 20% of every lead that you talk to, every group of leads, closes. So if I've got 100 leads, 20 of them will close. Now we do some simple math. If 20 of them are going to close and the average value of the lead is $1,000, there's $20,000. That's really cool. Now let's take it a step further. We have to know how many people are going to be in the room. Now, if I know how many people are in the room, again, for the sake of easy numbers, let's just say that there's 1,000 people in the room. And now I need to know my conversion. This happens before closing ratio. How many of the 1,000 people are going to say yes to my free offer? Let's just say I have an amazing conversion and everyone in the room signs up for the free resource, this ebook that you're giving away, which is not unheard of, by the way. I even have had people that I work with, some peers, Pete Vargas has talked about this, by closing more than 100% of the room. This is what happens. People are saying, this is so good, I need to share it with my friends. Maybe you're closing 108, 120% of the room, which is cool. But if, for the sake of easy math, let's just say it's 100. So 100% of the room, they all enroll and get my thing, which means all of those people became leads. My conversion was 100%. Now I'm going to go to my closing ratio, which is next. Remember that funnel we talked about? Conversion is 100%, 1,000 people. My closing ratio of that 1,000 is 20%, so 200 people. Those 200 people are worth $1,000 each. 200 times 1,000 is $200,000. So if those are your numbers and you're in a room of 1,000 people and you know you can predict based on some history that you can make $200,000, I would say yes to that over a $5,000 speaker fee any day. bonus material for you. So check it out. This is why this is so critical. Now, let's learn how to do this. This is where you're going to just sit down and do this. You might pause this video and get to it. Your ebook should have these 4 elements. First of all, it should be a digital download. Why? Because you can give it away on digital stages, and you can give it away on physical stages without all of the cost of printing a book. Second bullet, it should have no more than 12 to 18 pages. Very succinct, very short, very powerful. Remember, Mark Twain said, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter book. Short does not mean less value. It actually means more. Think about it. If I have a plumber come in and fix my sink, and one plumber takes 6 hours to do it, and another plumber takes an hour to do it, which plumber am I going to hire? The guy that can do it in an hour. People pay for a collapsing of time. Okay, so number 3, it should contain a link to your next step. I like to put a link to my community, because that means this book, no matter where it goes or who it gets shared with, people can be brought into my world, into my community. And they have to give me their email to get the book in the first place. So once they do that, now they're going to be nurtured, not only in the community, but on my email list. Now, number 4, it should have an appealing on-brand design. Now, I don't want this to be a stopping point for you. If all you can do right now is put it in a Google Doc and get it done, do that. But you're going to have a better chance of people getting through it if it looks pretty. It's just the truth. Okay, so let's get on to the next step. So how to write your ebook in under 90 minutes is going to be very cool. Here's step number 1. Once I give you the step, I want you to pause the video and then go do it. So step number 1 is define your expertise. We've already covered that in earlier modules. You can do this by going to ChatGPT. It's a free resource. Go to ChatGPT and open up a new window. Tell the computer that it now has the same expertise you do. So, hey, if I'm a piano teacher, I'm going to tell ChatGPT that you are an expert pianist, an expert piano teacher, and it's going to understand what its role is and what its expertise and qualifications are now. Now you're going to tell it that you want to write a short book on your expertise. Maybe I teach swim lessons to kids. I want you to write me a swim lesson guidebook for kids. Or I want you to write me, if your audience is the parents, I want you to write me a swim book for kids that's targeted toward the parents. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT what its expertise is and who the book is for. If you already have a presentation, by the way, you've been through step 2, you have a presentation, and it already has a step-by-step process, your 3 pieces of content, in other words, guess what? That's what goes in your book. So that's pretty easy. Okay, take a step, take a moment right now, pause, open up your computer, go to ChatGPT, put in that information, tell ChatGPT what it is an expert in, and then tell it to write you a book targeted toward your audience. When you're ready, come back and we'll see you at the next page. Okay, you got it. Let's go on to step 2. Step 2. Once you have your prompt, the information that ChatGPT has spit out for you, you're going to copy and paste. Seriously, Control-C, Control-V. You can put it into a Google Doc if you want, and that might, help you with your formatting and it's easier to read through. Or you can do like I do, and you can get a little bit fancy and use Canva to make it really cool and spiffy and on brand. Now, if you already have your colors and your brand fonts, you can easily use those in this template and just plug in and write your book. You're going to want to just put lipstick on it. Make it your flavor. If your ChatGPT prompt, I swear, anywhere in there says embark on a journey, delete it. Take it out. I don't want that in there. That's the dead giveaway that ChatGPT wrote this book, and I want you to be the one that writes the book. So that you're going to go through the text that it gives you and make it your voice. All right, I don't want you to sound like a robot. You're also going to add your photos if you have any. If you have a pro Canva account, you can add stock photography. It really makes it look good and it becomes much easier to read. The last thing that you want is a TLDR. Too long, didn't read. Your Google Doc will suffice. I promise you it will suffice. But your content will be more digestible if it has the embellishment of your beautiful fonts and your beautiful colors and your beautiful photos and all the stock images. But listen, again, I'm going to say this again. If you feel like that's a hurdle that you have to overcome before you publish it, just publish the brown paper bag version. And when you publish the brown paper bag version, or in other words, the version that's just the rawest and most unedited, when you redo it, now you have edition 2. You have volume 2 maybe, and you're putting new features on it and things, and you have another tripwire, another re-release, or another edition of your book to release, which means you're just circling back to step 3 all over again. So don't let that get in your way. Okay, now that you have step 2, let me get back and do that again. Ooh. I'm about to sneeze. Anytime I talk about sneezing, I suddenly don't have to sneeze anymore. It's a cruel trick. Okay, now that you've got step 2, I want you to pause this video and get to it. Go take that ChatGPT prompt, copy it and paste it, put your lipstick on it, make sure it sounds like your voice. If you want to take the time to edit it in Canva, now's your time to do so, and we'll see you in the next step. Okay, welcome to step 3. Let's get right to it. Now that your ebook is written and formatted, now it's time to download it as a PDF. This is critical. Do not post the link directly to the book online. If you do, you'll miss out on this function of converting your audience into leads. You'll completely miss the entire point of this. One of the points on this is to add value to your audience, but you can't continue to add value to your audience if you don't own your audience. So don't post the PDF out there. Don't post the book online. All you need to do is go in and you post that you wrote your book. You post that the book is available. You post that you wrote the guide, the thing. And all you need to do is ask for comments on the book when you post it. Say, here's what I mean by that. You post it on Facebook, let's say, hey, I just wrote the book on how to train your 2-year-old to swim. It's a guidebook for parents. Comment below if you want a copy. Here's what's going to happen. Actually, I want, and now that I'm saying this, I have all those screenshots of those comments from people that I didn't put in my slides, and I kind of want to.
That's okay. Just have it be a screen of you and say, look at all of these comments.
And you'll plug it in.
And I'll just post them all over the screen.
Beautiful. You're
just
amazing.
say that.
Okay. Guys, this is not just...
guys.
Oh, thank you. This is not just a hypothetical. This works. Look at all of these pictures. This isn't just me. Of course, I've done it and it works, which is why I can teach it. But this is me and my students who have posted these, and look at how many comments they're getting. We're up in the hundreds. 200, 300, 400, 500. All of these comments are not only boosting the engagement of the post, so more people see it, they see the social validation, and then they also comment, but they're also leads. Guys, hundreds of them. Now, a word to the wise, not all of these comments are leads. I know I just said that, but listen carefully. They contain leads. But if I'm going in and I'm making this post, the comment that says, yes, I want a copy, I am replying to that comment. And the platform sees that as another comment and will put it in the comment count. So I would say if your post has 600 replies, that's probably about 300 new leads because your replies are counting in the comment count. So what you do from there is you DM them privately and say, here's the link to download the book. That link then is the form that intakes all of their information. So do not post this link to the internet. Again, I cannot iterate this enough. I've seen people do it. It's a gigantic mistake. This is the thing that enrolls the audience to become your leads. They need a reason to give you their email. This is the reason. And I want you to collect everything. So go ahead and make a post right now. I'm so serious. Go make a post right now on one of your platforms, whether it's YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and say, I've just finished the book on this. It's free. Who wants a copy? Comment below and watch it blow up. It may or may not. I don't know if it will or not. Who knows? But if you post it today and it doesn't blow up, do it again tomorrow. Rule number 1. Actually, it might be rule 76. I don't know. I always say rule number 1, but there's so many. They're all important. They're all equally number 1. This is the primary rule for getting posting. If it doesn't catch the first day, don't give up. You have to be so sick of what you're saying over and over and over again before the first person listens. It takes between 7 and 20 plus touches for someone to enroll in something. Every time you post, it's a touch. So even if you don't get a billion comments the first time, do it again tomorrow. Do it again the next day. Maybe improve it a little bit and keep going. Okay, pause right now. Go make that post. Okay, for step 4, welcome back. I hope your post does very well. In fact, tag me in it so I can watch it, and I will leave a comment for you as well. You'll send me a copy of your book, and maybe we can go over it together. Okay, step 4, it's time to create an intake form. Okay, now I had you post before I had you make the intake form because I just want you to do it. And if you're listening to this just right after, then you can have that intake form ready and you can build it as you're responding to people. It seriously just takes a few minutes. It's very easy. If you already have a CRM, you can use that to build a page that collects the name, email, and phone, and you can even get all techie and have it automatically deliver the ebook to your audience. If you don't have a CRM and you want one, I want you to follow the link below this video and we can do a demo for you of our CRM that works really well every time. And if you don't have a CRM, that is okay, but get one, trust me, ASAP. Otherwise, you're just going to have a time waster, okay? This is not the most highest revenue generating activity once you start doing it a lot. So if you don't have a CRM, get one. Otherwise, you don't have a real business. If you can't keep track of your customers, you just have an expensive hobby. If nothing else, though, if you're just starting and you just got to get this done today, which you know me, I always advocate for that, use Google Forms to collect their name, email, and phone. I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's in the links below this video. You can watch that video on how to create your Google form if you're brand new to it. So that's linked below. You collect their name, email, and phone, and that will then populate a spreadsheet. All of that information will go into a spreadsheet for you, and then you can manually send out that PDF if you don't have an automated delivery system. Very easy, very simple. So pause here and go make the form. Friends, if you haven't, okay, here's the very, very end of this. There's more ways to do this than just one. I want to show you what I've written so far this year. You can DIY or DWI. DIY, as you know, is done do it yourself. DWI is done with you. These are the books, just some of them, that I have written just in the last few months. You can do it yourself with everything I just gave you. But if you need someone to guide you through it, just reach out to me. I've written dozens of books just this year for speakers and coaches, and I'd be happy to help you write yours. So again, the link to get some help with that is going to be below. Up next, step 3, your ebook and more. Like I mentioned, there's more to this than just writing an ebook. You can write 100 different things, a few different kinds of tripwires. I want to tell you all the different kinds that you have. I have helped people create them. So check it out in the next module.
Perfect timing. It's 10:50.
Yeah, that one worked out.
Yeah.
Oh, I need some water. I hope you had a good time. If you have questions, I know some of you do. If you need help with anything, just message me. Just comment and we'll get connected. Biggest thing I want you to have access to is that podcast database. So just text the word podcast, 801-509-5495. That's going to send you the entire list automated. That list needs you. There are podcasts that need you on them. So go apply to the podcast. My number one rule is 10 per month. Not too much, not too little, very digestible. So go get that podcast database, text podcast to 801-509-5495. It's free to you. Enjoy.